what are you feeling about, you talked about vulnerability a little bit there, Tony. What are you feeling about the vulnerability that people show, or the lack of vulnerability that people show in regards to, putting themselves out there? You said about that a couple of times. How are you feeling around that?
Me personally, or
you personally,
just generally,
or others, just in general?
Well, I believe that I put myself out there. I'm happy for others to challenge me on that, but I believe that I put myself out there, and I look to share my stories, and I share them with a view of helping one person. I wake up every day with the mindset of helping one person. I'm fortunate enough to realise that I help more than one, but my mindset is I want to help one person, and I do things in one more step, one more person, and that's how I'm able to constantly move forward. Do I think people are vulnerable? No, I don't think they're vulnerable enough. I don't think they're living their truth. I don't think they're fully self-aware, and they're fully being vulnerable.
What about the idea with vulnerability? And I guess that the people don't put themselves out there being vulnerable is the reason why they think they're going to be judged, and how much harm that could actually put on themselves. And they're probably maybe putting on a smile or something like that, and not really telling what truly is going on with them. And how do you feel around that? That might be tough for a lot of people to go through. Before you actually go on to that,
okay.
Michael has said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which is really
correct.
important.
Yep.
And Kyle says, haha, window foul for Tesla. It's pretty funny. And David says, so many times I want to run away from my challenges, Tony, but I know the outcome is too good to give up.
Yeah, correct.
So that's great vulnerability, right?
Yeah, that's awesome, David. And I know David personally. I know you know him as well, Luke. And that's it. And that's what we're talking about. It's like, it's not easy. None of this is easy. I say around personal development, around business, around property development, I say it's simple. It's just not easy. It's simple. It's simple stuff. Like when you boil it all down, when you boil personal development down, in my mind, it's simple. That is, you become what you think about. It's that is the one sentence that I carry with me wherever. You become what you think about. That's it, right? And so that's how simplistic I boil it down. Here's the thing. It's just not easy. And why is it not easy? Because we've got this million-year-old brain that's wanting to keep us safe, and it's wanting to sense all this fear and danger. You touched on it before around vulnerability. Why are people not vulnerable? Well, when you boil it all down, when you go deep, it's fear. It's fear. It all links back to fear. It's a fear of maybe being criticized by other people, by ridicule. You use the word ridicule, right? It's fear. That's where it stems from. But here's the thing. When you put yourself out there, okay, sure, you are opening yourself up to potentially being that. I'll give you an example. So many years ago, I lost an enormous amount of weight in a short period of time. And part of the competition was to put a photo of yourself in your underpants on social media. And you've seen the photo, Luke, as to have plenty have heard me speak. Anyway, my point to all that is, I sat there all day. I wrote the post in the morning, so I wrote the post in the face, and I sat there pretty much all day, and I couldn't press send, and I just couldn't, and I couldn't get out of my own head. I couldn't, and I eventually hit send. Right then, what happened was the overwhelming support that I got just blew me away. So my point to what you're saying around people being vulnerable and scared about all the negative stuff, yeah, that's fine. But then what you're also shutting yourself off from is all the support, is all the great stuff. So you're thinking about all the negative things that might be happening. Here's the thing. You might get maybe 1%, 2%, maybe 5% of people that might have a go at you about something. But you might get 95% of people who are going, yeah, that's awesome. Like, well done. That's so brave. I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. And yet what we're doing is we're altering our decisions and our behaviors based on maybe it's 5%. Again, I'm just making this number up, right? But it's a really small percentage, and you're shutting yourself off to having all these other great people go, wow, that's really cool stuff. So look, it's not.
And then also, Tony, on the back of that 95%, what if you actually inspired one other person to do that, or change someone else's life, and they come back to you in 2 years or 5 years time or whatever, and you've changed someone's life.
Or even if they never come back to you, like even if they never come, which is awesome, right? If someone comes back to you, that's awesome. But even if they never come back to you, Right. So again, I have these little games with myself. I'm always playing little mental mind games, right? And so one of them is that I always look to treat people as I would like to be treated. So that's the first thing. And I have it's a Japanese saying, it's called Ichigo Ichi. And it means treasure every meeting, for it'll never, ever happen again. But in that moment, what I'm thinking about is making the most of that particular moment. But then I know that when I treat someone well, they go away from that meeting and they might go home to their partner and they might treat their partner well, or they might go and treat their kids well, and the partner goes down to the shops and he treats the shopkeeper well. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm this little rock in the pond, and now this thing ripples out. But here's the thing: it works the other way, and I see this in corporate setting all the time, where you've got bosses who are just assholes, right? And so what they do is they upset their staff, and so that staff goes home. What do? They're cranky with the partner. They kick the cat. They're short with the kids. The partner goes out to the shops. His partner's got into him, so he goes to the shop. So that's a terrible experience with the shopkeeper. The poor old shopkeeper cops are hiding, and so on and so forth. And it just ripples out. So the thing is, it can ripple out. You are in the center. You, me, all of us are in the center, and you choose. You choose whether you want positive ripples to ripple out or whether you want negative ripples to ripple out. It's your choice.
And maybe you can break some of those negative ripples if you're a positive person or coming into seeing other people that are not doing so well. So Alex has come on, and we talked about the plonkers before, having donuts, and Kyle wanted to know whether they're cinnamon or Krispy Kreme.
Personally, I'm not a donut. I'm not a donut eater, to be honest.
We know you're an ice cream man.
I'm an ice cream man. Ice cream through and through. I love my ice cream. Yeah, and so there's another story, right? People won't know, right? I know you give me a hard time about ice cream. What people won't know about me is that I opened an ice cream cafe back in 2004 and 5, and I lost $100,000 in 9 months. Right, 100 grand in 9 months. Imagine dropping that. That's just disgraceful when I look back at it. But here's the thing: it happened. I learned from it. At the time, it was very painful for me, but I learned from it, and it helped shape me into who I am today. And so, and I could sit here for days telling you all of my mistakes and errors and things that I've done wrong. But you know what? I keep getting up every day and challenging myself to be. So my mindset. Well, I got something like, but one of them is I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. And if I constantly think like that, or when I constantly think like that, then I'm going to just keep progressing through my life.
Massive. It's great, Tony. And we wanted to talk about that third item around persistence today, is around, people are constantly sick of all the challenges, sick of all the changes, and sick of having to adapt to things.
Yep.
What's your message for those people?
Well, firstly, they're focusing on the problem.
And just before you get into that, Tony, Kat's actually said, persist with living out of your comfort zone. Gets results and rewarding feelings. Keep pushing through. Tony is great to help with this. And 4 months until the end of March to the skydive, Tony. Woohoo!
Thank you, Kat. Appreciate it. And thank you for the kind words. And yes, skydiving in 2020 for me, first quarter of 2020. So the point around that is that all these challenges, well, what we're doing is we're focusing on firstly, we're focusing on the problem. Another thing that comes to mind is that we're expecting that the world is going to give us a break and it's going to be easy. And it kind of doesn't work that way. And so if there's challenges in your life, well, deal with the challenges. Because here's the thing. See, a lot of people choose not to deal with them, and they deal with them by drinking alcohol. They deal with them by taking drugs. They deal with them by procrastinating and putting things off. You're not dealing with the challenges. And what happens with those challenges is they become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because you've ignored it, you've avoided it, and you're not tackling it head on. So here's the thing. Flip your thinking from it's a challenge to I need to solve this. Because the challenge doesn't go away. It just doesn't wake up one morning and miraculously disappear. You need to solve that something that's going on in your world, but also have an expectation that life is going to throw an enormous amount at you. An enormous amount. And you need to
don't kid yourself, people. This shit gets hard.
it gets hard, but here's the thing. So Kat touched on it before, right? So Kat in the messaging, and I can't see the messaging. I'm just going off Meredith. She's talking about growing her comfort zone, right? So Kat's comfort zone, and all of our comfort zones might have started off being that big, but she's challenging herself, and now she's creating this bigger comfort zone, right? And so now for her, things are getting easier. Why? Because she's getting exposed to more things. No different. You've got some challenges, solve those challenges, you get exposed to them. Because here's the way the mind works, right? Challenge, the mind goes a bit fearful of it. We work our way through it, and then we go, we can solve that. And it starts to think it's a little bit easier, and it's a little bit easier, and it gets a little bit easier. And so you're starting to expand your, different skill sets. It might be expand your resilience, your ability to sustain, your ability to solve problems. You're growing all the time. You're growing that comfort zone is getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're just doing more and more things. And the mind keeps going, you know what? We're actually okay. We've did that. We've done that. We've achieved that. We're actually okay. Every time you do something, it gets just that little bit easier, little bit easier, little bit easier, little bit easier.